Have you ever prayed with all your heart, believing that God would answer immediately, yet days turned into months and months into years without any visible response? This is one of the deepest questions that many believers struggle with in their walk of faith. Some people pray and see miracles happen instantly, doors open quickly, and situations change overnight. Yet others cry out to God with sincerity and dedication, but the answer seems delayed. If you have ever wondered why this happens, you are not alone. Many faithful believers throughout history have asked the same question. The truth is that God does answer prayers, but he does so according to his divine wisdom and perfect timing. Sometimes his answers come immediately because the situation aligns with his purpose in that moment. At other times, the answer requires a process that prepares both the situation and the person who is praying. Spiritual teachers like Joshua Selman often emphasize that prayer is not only about asking God for something, but also about becoming the kind of person who can carry the blessing that God intends to release. The Bible shows us that God works through seasons. There is a time of planting, a time of waiting, and a time of harvest. When believers do not understand this process, frustration can easily enter their heart. But the reality is that heaven operates with a wisdom far greater than human expectations. When a prayer is delayed, it does not mean that God has ignored it. In many cases, it means that something deeper is happening behind the scenes. God may be arranging circumstances, aligning people, strengthening your character, or preparing you for a greater testimony than you ever imagined. This understanding changes the way we see waiting entirely. But there is a deeper dimension to this mystery that many believers rarely consider, and this is where the journey of faith becomes both challenging and powerful. The Bible reveals that not every delay in prayer is simply about time passing. Sometimes there are unseen spiritual realities working behind the scenes. In the book of Daniel, the prophet prayed earnestly, and his prayer was heard immediately in heaven. Yet the answer did not arrive for 21 days. Because of spiritual resistance in the unseen realm, this story reveals that God may answer a prayer the moment it is spoken, but the manifestation of that answer on earth can still require time. When people do not understand this truth, they assume God is silent or uninterested, but the reality is often very different. God is working even when nothing seems to be happening. This is why spiritual teachers like Joshua Selman frequently teach that faith must be strong enough to trust God, not only in moments of quick miracles, but also in seasons of waiting. The waiting season is often where God performs his deepest work inside a believer. During that time, character is refined, patience is developed, and spiritual strength grows quietly. Consider Abraham, who received a promise from God that he would become the father of many nations. Yet the fulfillment of that promise took decades. Imagine the questions, the doubts, and the silent nights where he wondered when the promise would finally appear. Still, the Bible records that Abraham remained persuaded that God was faithful. This introduces a powerful suspense in every believer's story, because the delay is often the very place where the greatest testimony is being prepared. What looks like silence may actually be divine preparation for something far greater than expected. This is why understanding the nature of God's timing can transform the way a believer approaches prayer. When Jesus spoke about the persistent widow, he revealed a powerful principle that continues to inspire faith today. The widow kept coming again and again, refusing to give up until justice was granted. Her persistence was not because the judge loved righteousness, but because her determination could not be ignored. Through this story, Jesus showed that perseverance in prayer is a powerful expression of faith. Many believers stop praying too soon because they assume that delay means rejection. Yet the kingdom of God often rewards those who remain steadfast. When we look again at the life of Daniel, we see that heaven had already responded, even though the visible answer was delayed. When we reflect on Abraham, we see that the promise eventually came in a way that made the miracle undeniable. These stories reveal a consistent pattern in the way God works. Sometimes he answers quickly to show his immediate power, but at other times he allows the waiting season so that the final testimony will be greater than the original request. Teachers like Joshua Selman often remind believers that patience is not passive, it is active trust in God's wisdom. Waiting seasons are opportunities to grow deeper in faith, to strengthen spiritual discipline, and to prepare for the responsibility that comes with answered prayers. When a believer understands this truth, frustration begins to disappear and confidence begins to rise. Instead of asking why the answer has not yet appeared, the heart begins to trust that God is carefully arranging every detail for the right moment. The breakthrough may seem delayed, but it is never forgotten. If you are benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.